Hello everyone, this is Coma about engines. Today we're going to take apart this engine. This is a 2445 from a diesel PAZ bus. So I already worked on this engine once, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe a bit more, maybe a bit less, give or take. So there isn't a video about repairing this engine on the channel yet. So I want to show that the previous engine had a gear-driven compressor, a gear drive, but here we have a belt drive. I'm not always showing the same engine. These are different ones. What's ahead of us? As usual, we need to disassemble, inspect for defects, assess, and decide. Decisions. So, what else is special about this engine? This engine has two crankshafts. Yes, that's right, a 2445 with two crankshafts. If you're skeptical, I'll demonstrate and clarify everything for you to witness firsthand. So what's our first step? As always, we begin by removing everything. The attachments, all sorts of pipes, all kinds of manifold brackets, filters, and so on. First, remove the frame and all attachments, then disassemble everything step by step. As we can see, part of the frame is missing here, likely broken off, but we'll weld it back on later. So while removing the pump, I took off the high pressure tubes, then I unscrewed the bolt here, and after this bolt, you need to unscrew the oil supply to the pump. Then you need to unscrew this fitting where the hose is attached, and then you have to unscrew another bolt, so it's like a whole ritual, then you need to unscrew it. These two bolts here, yes, these two bolts hold the pump in place, plus we need to remove this cover, and under it there will be 3 nuts that we also need to unscrew. There are no marks to set, but you can mark how the gear sits on the hub. You can make a mark, but otherwise there are no marks to set. The distance between the holes is different, so you can't install the pump in any other position. The rust appeared when it was washed. Apparently water got in somehow through the lid. The lid wasn't tightened. So that's how it is. Yeah, we can also see that on this exhaust valve, the guide is broken. And you can see that exhaust gases are escaping right through the guide here. That is, you can see it by the carbon buildup on the valve itself and on the cover. On the cover, the oil is also cooking and burning. Just look how much of it is here. So we can see there are metal shavings under the heat exchanger. You can see how much shavings there are, right? First, I removed the filter, then comes the heat exchanger. There's a radiator, TSO supply, TSO outlet. Oil passes inside, the oil gets cooled, and we can see this amount of metal shavings underneath it. I've removed almost everything, leaving just the bare block head and oil pan. Next I'll remove the rocker shafts, injectors, and then flip the engine over to remove the front cover and oil pan. Alright, so I removed the head. We can see that one valve is left in the open position, the one with the broken rocker. Plus, when we were washing it, water got in here and it just rusted. Maybe there's some carbon buildup in there. We'll disassemble it and check. Theoretically, the sleeves should have minimal wear. As I mentioned, I rebuilt this engine 2 or 3 years ago, installing a new piston assembly and likely a new crankshaft. I don't recall, so I'll disassemble it. I've removed the head. You must either flip the engine or place it sideways. Let's see how it goes. So I've removed the oil pan, the oil pump, and the clutch basket. I'm removing the flywheel cover and front cover to explain the situation about the two crankshafts. I have removed the intermediate gear due to a worn-out bushing and a broken plate, which is a common issue. The other plate is also broken. The gear was moving slightly. I'm now removing the camshaft and intermediate plate. I put the engine on its side to remove the pistons. So, in order not to knock the piston out, not to hit it, not to bang on it, you need to clean off the carbon buildup and everything will come out by hand. So, well, I took out the pistons and we can see that the bearing is still in working condition and the pistons themselves are too. Of course there are some scratches, but that could have happened because of the metal shavings that we currently have in the engine. But overall everything is still working and could still run for a while. Now for the most interesting part. Well, we can see everything. As I said, there are two crankshafts, right? One turned out a bit smaller and the other one is a bit bigger. To be honest though, I thought it broke somewhere around the first journal. I even mentioned it in one of the videos. It felt like it broke somewhere in this area because this part moved so easily. Well, we can see that I was wrong. So obviously the talk about two crankshafts was just a joke, nothing serious. We can see that the crankshaft is broken. This is actually a common reason why these engines fail, at least when you're assembling them from spare parts. Yes, this engine block and crankshaft were both purchased in a store. This bus is already around 15 years old or more. Over these years I've repaired its engine. Well, I don't know. I can't say for sure, but maybe 4, 5, 6 times. I don't know exactly. And during this time I don't know. I've purchased multiple crankshafts, changed the engine block, cylinder heads and pistons several times. We've essentially replaced everything multiple times. So, what is the reason for this crankshaft failure? In my opinion, I think the reason lies in the crankshaft itself. The thinnest spot is visible here, along with the journal and a thin partition. There's also drilling for the oil channel. Even a small defect in the blank itself may be sufficient. That's the result. I don't think it's the block because we constantly check it, even the one straight from the store. With a new block, we first take it for inspection and almost always machine the crankshaft bed to restore it. Only after that do I assemble it. Right now it's really hard to say for sure, but for myself I draw the conclusion that most likely it's because of the Kalnuwal. Last time I installed a standard bearing, as shown, they could still function. Well, as we can see, this is what happened. Further. The fate of this engine is unknown. The bus, which is 15 years old, has already been decommissioned. So I'll show you now. They're cutting it up for scrap metal outside. Well, so the bus itself was already in such bad shape, yes, in a really terrible, you could say, condition. To make matters worse, the engine started knocking, the crankshaft broke, and that was the last straw. The decision was made to decommission this bus. I don't know about the engine or myself yet, but I think I'll work on it. They will be assembled. I also have a disassembled engine lying here on the shelf. You can see the crankshaft here. The crankshaft I think needs to be ground. I don't recall all of this at the moment. I need to review, verify, and refresh my memory. But most likely this engine will be assembled, and it will be used as, well, I don't know, a backup or a spare. We also have several buses around 15 years old, including 3 or 4 PAZ buses that were purchased at one time. This engine will probably be assembled today. It will be used as a backup or a spare. If this engine is assembled, it will probably be put together mostly from old parts. Well, I mean everything I have available, some parts will be taken from this engine, some from that engine. One will have the crankshaft and the other the camshaft. It doesn't matter which, they're both good in either case. There will be a minimal amount of new parts. Well, maybe the bearings, maybe the rings. I think the sleeves will stay the same and the pistons will probably stay the same too. So that's how it is for now, just thinking out loud. If I assemble it, I will make a video, but not soon. It could be in a few months or half a year. I can't say for certain yet. So that's the interesting case we have with the crankshaft breaking. As far as I remember, I don't have any videos with a broken crankshaft on my channel yet. So that's the video we ended up with, our 245 with 2 crankshafts. Thanks for watching, good luck, bye.